The Ethical Conflicts of Genetic Editing by me, Zachary Hobbs. So genome editing was first conducted in 1973. It's responsible for many of our foods, such as apples, a lot of the not rare caught salmon is genetically modified, a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables. And the experimental trials with humans with genome editing has been going on since 1982. So there's actually a deep history with human trials in genome editing. The current state of genome editing is the system called CRISPR or Cas9, which is the name of the actual protein that does the gene cutting. It's actually slowly being incorporated into commercial medical use. I think first use was very recent. And the big question surrounding it is it safe? And is it actually going to do all the things that it's promised to do? So CRISPR stands for clustered, regularly interspaced, short palindromic repeats. And this is the method by which the Cas9 protein cuts the DNA. Now, the process through which that the DNA gets cut by the Cas9 molecule is very interesting. Cas9 protein is a naturally occurring protein. It exists in all eukaryotes and all humans, and it's effectively an aimable molecular pair of scissors for DNA strands. So its only job is to cut DNA strands, and we can aim it with a guide RNA molecule, which scientists can create. The body naturally tries to repair these cuts when it cuts, but it's not naturally very capable of it. So failure happens a lot naturally, mutations happen. And this process was first discovered and used at UC Berkeley, which is very interesting because it's the United States, and a lot of the things we'll talk about later involve other nations. Now, the guide RNA molecule is produced by scientists and attached to the Cas9 protein, which then directs it towards the target gene sequence, which are going to be the AT and all that. It cuts the DNA sequence, and then scientists can modify the DNA strand, and that will generate a new DNA sequence and therefore change the actual DNA of the cell itself. Now, the massive upside of this technology is that it has the potential to stop genetic diseases such as cystic fibrosis and sickle cell anemia, prevent the spread of other diseases such as malaria from mosquitoes, because you can disrupt the reproductive systems of mosquitoes and prevent them from actually spreading things like malaria. You can do this with other insects or animals also. It can be used to fight cancer in affected cells and effectively prevent cancer from occurring. And it could potentially eradicate all types of disease through genetic prevention and effective ways of countering the disease before it's even affected the cell. Now, Victoria Gray is actually the first human to ever be treated with CRISPR for sickle cell disease, and she has experienced a great and profound awakening, as she calls it. She says she has super cells in her body now, and she lives a happy and healthy life, which she did not live before the CRISPR technology was used on her. And as of a recent statistic, almost 60% of patients show a positive response to the early types of treatment that CRISPR has been used in. Now, some other potential uses could be food that doesn't rot, so apples that don't brown, or vegetables that don't, rot. It can increase human lifespan, reverse human muscle loss. Some of the current developments that are going on is they're trying to use pig organs as human donors. So they're trying to change the genetic material of the pig organ to make it acceptable by a human body. So if you try to implant a pig organ in a human body now, it's going to reject it. But if you use CRISPR on a pig organ to make it seem more human, you could potentially use pig organs as human donors. They're trying to bring back the woolly mammoth currently. through genetic splicing, which is where you can take woolly mammoth DNA preserved in ice and put it into elephant DNA, which could potentially bring back extinct animals. That's very interesting. Can be used to increase crop yield, affects bacteria microbiomes such as the human gut, which would prevent a lot of disease and improve human life. There's limitless possibilities when combined with other technologies such as AI. Also, that's a big point of topic. Now, the big question is, how far should we go with this technology? What is the limit? Where should we stop, really? The extreme example that comes to mind is the idea of genetic inferiority. Who decides what genes are good or bad? In the wrong hands, this technology could be used to delete human genetic material that is seen as unfavorable, which could be a very big issue. The idea of genetic differences such as deafness, dwarfism, or physical deformation, like if a deaf person sees that as a part of themselves, that's who they are. So who gets the right to tell them that they're genetically inferior and they need to be eliminated from the human race? And then race/gender issues. Something that comes to mind would be China, how there's one-child policy, so parents prefer a male child versus a female child. Some parents go to extreme lengths for that. I wonder how the ability to pick a gender of a baby would fare in that social context. Biodiversity in humans is really what keeps us strong and gives us different perspectives, the challenges that we go through, and that could be at risk through genetic perfection. We could lose a lot of the diversity that we possess. There are unknown consequences to CRISPR, and that is mutation can occur. You can cut the wrong DNA strand, and that will kill a cell, obviously. And when CRISPR is used on embryos, it affects the actual reproductive cells, which are the cells that encode the rest of the body. So therefore, if it's used on an embryo, the DNA that you change will be passed on to the offspring of that embryo. But if you change an adult cell, then it won't be passed on to the offspring. So that has potential downsides, upsides. That's another lane of use. Now, one potential is designer babies. So you can choose your eye color, hair color, skin color of your child. Potentially in the future, you could remove the potential for any disease or negative genetic defects. You could guide personality based on genetic coding. You could prevent signs like depression or anxiety, things like that. There's also the opposite side. Is this something that's against God or against religion? Is this not how nature, nature versus nurture? That idea is very integral to this idea. This has actually already been done. There was a Chinese doctor named He Jiankui who misled doctors and genetically implanted embryos into mothers. He was jailed for 3 years because of this. But all 3 babies are healthy, and it was technically a success. And he recently said he wants to return to his research after he got out of jail. So now, recent developments within the CRISPR technology is that gene editing is now in the hands of doctors, and it's actually being used to treat sickle cell and beta thalassemia. This was approved at the end of 2023, which means just a few months ago. So this is very relevant to our current times. And this is the first time ever CRISPR was approved for commercial medical use. So this is a real technology of the future, and it's going to be prevalent going forward. So CRISPR has many potential positives. These are some really big topics: completely eradicate disease, cure cancer, which is one of the major issues with human society, I guess. Enhance many aspects of life, enhance the human condition. And it's seemingly effective in the early stages. It even has the potential to do some very wild things, and things we haven't even probably talked about, but one of those things is bring back extinct animals. And it saves lives. Now, some of the negatives is it can be dangerous in the wrong hands. It potentially you could cull the entire an entire strand of human genetic material. So if a gene is seen as negative and it's slowly taken out of human society, we're going to lose that gene forever. So it could be potential to eliminate human genetic material, and unknown side effects, less consequences, because we are still in the very early stages of learning what this technology has in store for us, and it could decrease human diversity. So thank you for your time. This is a link to a company that allows commercial use of CRISPR if anyone would like to look at how that works. Any questions?
Yeah, what made you choose this? Like, why did you choose to research this in particular?
It's something that the potential is so sky high, and I had heard about it, but I hadn't ever actually gone deep into it. So I wanted to I actually wanted to go look at this stuff because it's something that could be very we could see this within 50 years, full unveiling, the woolly mammoth could come back or something genuinely that could happen.
I feel like that's super soon with the movie and stuff. I've read a bunch of stuff about that. So
yeah.
Can you go to the slide that had that on the other possibility slide? I think you mentioned on the slide about the designer babies about is this against God or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you think about these issues with that criteria? Using pig organs, is that playing God? At what point would you say it's too far?
I think that definitely doing it with humans, it could be taken way too far. I think that I'm not a very godly man myself, so I'm not going to bring that topic into this, but I think that by increasing the likelihood that a person will survive, that's a positive thing. So if we can do this pig organ thing, because there's 100, 200 people on an organ donor list, and this person's not going to get it for 2 years, but they need it now, right? If they're willing to use a pig organ, we should let them, let them save themselves. That idea.
Yeah. I agree. That's cool.
How far do you think is too far? Based on what you
I think the designer babies is too far, definitely. Another idea that comes to mind is a super soldier. You could genetically thicken the skin, the bones, make all your muscle fast twitch, all that kind of stuff, and that has the combat/war potential, which is negative in my eyes. So I think that's too far. Things like that.
Now, with the pig organs, do you sort of mean as changing pig organs to become human organs?
More change the actual DNA sequence, the genetic material to so when our immune system attacks the organs, if you implant an organ, it's going to reject it sometimes. That's just the nature of the human immune system. So what they're trying to do is make the coding, the genetic coding, fit better with the immune system so that it will accept it. It doesn't have to be perfectly human, but
Okay.
Yeah.
How hard do you think it would be to regulate? Once
I'm extremely difficult. We've already had one mad scientist, come out and just implant embryos into 2 women. That's already happened. That's already an issue. So I think if this becomes more widespread, more available and all that, it could. Yeah.
Do you know if that was consensual or not, or is that just he snuck into the room and put embryos in them, or is that something that planned together?
I'd imagine it was consensual. I don't have confirmation.
If you get jailed for it, then I don't understand how you got jailed for it. The woman agreed to do it too. That's just, I guess it just goes above everything.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's also illegal. There's a wider international scientific code